morning. So nice to have you join us today. Hope your day, as we always hope, is having a wonderful start. You know that we have a lot of fun helping you plan for a weekend of fun. We're going to kick the show off with an idea for you this morning because we have a rich history here in Chattanooga, and we're lucky to have many of our historic buildings preserved for future generations. So not this Saturday, but next, October 19th, you can take in the view at the Hunter Museum, enjoy some fantastic wines, and help preserve Chattanooga, quite literally. Todd Morgan is with the nonprofit, which is called Preserve Chattanooga. Used to be Cornerstones. Good to see you.
It's good to see you as well.
And this is an annual event called Best Cellars, a play on words, Cellars.
Yes, it is, and it's one of my favorite events. It's really a wonderful opportunity to not just support our local nonprofit and what we do in the community, but to enjoy some really wonderfully curated wine selections, great food pairings, and just have a good time.
You know, we are very lucky, I think, to have so much of our history preserved. And like all things, I think, that are fun, they take on new life and new meaning, right? So some of our iconic places, the Terminal Building, the Choo Choo, the Dome Building, the McClellan Building, all of those things could have fallen to ruin. Churches around here,
Absolutely.
If it were not for the effort of Preserve Chattanooga.
Well, and it takes a lot to take these buildings on and do something new in them. One of my favorite things about preservation is adaptive reuse. And you'll have an old mill or you'll have an old school and you'll think, what in the world do you do with this? It's no longer a mill or a school. And we've seen beautiful residential projects created, wonderful mixed-use spaces. They add so much vibrancy to the community and to neighborhoods, but they also help us tell our story as a community, and that's something every generation needs to not forget.
Right, and it really is art too. I mean, the master craftsmanship and the skill, the fact that they could use materials that we couldn't even afford to touch today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you see these places and you experience them, you get a feel for what the architects and the designers meant for you to see and experience. And it's such an elevated, wonderful thing when you start to learn how to pay attention to it and know that by saving these buildings, we're keeping them out of landfills.
Right.
You know, we're keeping that art alive in the community and our public spaces where we can all share it and appreciate it.
So part of what you do at Preserve Chattanooga, and we're going to talk about the event because there are still tickets available. You've been in Chattanooga for about 3 years, is that right?
Yes.
So you know we're famous as a last minute town.
Well, we'll keep ticket sales open to the very end.
Okay, but when you get your ticket, you get to come enjoy the beauty of the Hunter, that great overlook there, have these fantastic wines, learn a little, eat a little. How many wines are you offering, and does each wine kind of bring its own story that night?
It does. We often have representatives from the distributors who help us connect with the companies that are producing the wine. And you know, it can vary. We may have 50 to 100 different wines that people can try. So, you know, just take a little bit, have a little bit of food, go try another wine, and you can stretch it out. It's a 3-hour event. So there's plenty of opportunity to try a variety, maybe select a new favorite.
Are bottles for sale there?
They are not for sale.
Okay.
We're not allowed to sell wine on site, but
Fair.
you can mark your favorite and go shopping later.
Are you teaming up with restaurants, or is it a catered event based on the wines you have? Because I'm sure you're making sure that the food matches the wine.
We are. So we're working with a chef, Ramquist, who has the Unicorn restaurant, and he's created this wonderful pairing menu. So you can pair savories and also sweets with champagne, white wines, red wines. I think it's our best menu to date, so I'm very excited about that.
So are you a wine aficionado? I mean, do you know a lot about wines yourself?
I keep learning. So one of the things about being engaged with these events is I learn more and more about it, and it's a lovely experience to learn about these.
So do you know enough about the bottles you brought today to make us impressed?
I do not.
Okay.
I should have done a little bit more homework. These were featured last year.
Okay.
And so a lot of times we don't know until very close to the event what the companies that we're working with are going to bring. You know, sometimes we do know in advance, but I always like to share what we've had before so that people can get a feel for what we have.
Well, I have a brother who spends part of his time in France, and he has a wine cellar at his house in Vermont, and he always is telling us that you do not have to necessarily spend a lot of money on a good bottle of wine. So when you come to this event and you're learning a little, besides the work that they do at Preserve Chattanooga, you may fall in love with the bottle and think, oh, I couldn't possibly afford it. And you might be surprised.
You might be surprised, yes. Some of them are just, there's an amazing range of flavors. So when you really get into learning about wine, some of the subtleties that are out there are just fascinating to me.
Since I think you are a representative, and I want to show people how to get tickets, but of people who are coming into Chattanooga, COVID brought a lot of people our way. Don't you find that people are really hungry to know about the history of the place they call home?
They absolutely are. We get that a lot when we're talking to folks. We just actually unveiled some new self-guided walking tours around our historic neighborhoods in partnership with Chattanooga Tourism. And so I think that's one of the things people turn to. It's like, how can I walk around and learn about what these buildings mean to the community?
There's nothing in the glass, but I'll cheers you nonetheless.
Hey, wonderful.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers.
Here is where you can go to get your ticket to Best Cellars. It happens October 19th. It's a 21 and up event. Go to preservechattanooga.com. That will take you to where you can go to get your tickets. It's a little bit pricey, but every dollar goes to help protect these historic buildings that we call home. So thank you so much, Todd, for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Going to switch gears up a little bit from wonderful wines to Halloween. Halloween comes to Camp Jordan this weekend, at least a little bit. It's time for the Hocus Pocus Fall Market with Touch the Sky events, and Shannon Wright is up next.
Sometimes I do struggle with fatigue.
My stomach hurts. I have brain fog.
I have trouble sleeping.
I have joint pain.
I deal with anxiety